yeah. Top like money, so the girls just mail. One too many, y'all know me like 12. Look like cash and they all just there. Bottles, models, spending no shares. Fall out, cause that's the business. All out is so ridiculous. Zone out, so much attention. Scream out, I'm in the building. They're watching, I know this. I'm rocking, I'm rolling, I'm holding. I know it, you know it.
No, I know how to make them stop and stare as I zone out. The club can't even handle me right now. Watching me, I go all out. The club can't even handle me right now. The club can't even handle me right now.
Okay, everybody, welcome to Holland Bloorview Live. How are you all? Woo! My name is Stewart Wong. This is my special guest, Jadine. We have a massive, massive show for you today. We're talking about Dear Everybody. We're going to talk about accreditation. We've got lots of fun. We've got lots of surprises. It's going to be an awesome show. And the purpose, I always like to remind people why we come here in this setting. Why we gather here is so that we can help foster understanding of each other's work. We know that care happens across the hospital, both inside this building and off-site. It happens 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and it involves all of us. So the purpose of this forum is to foster that understanding and to give you updates on some of the major initiatives happening across the organization and how we can support each other in achieving our organizational aims. So, I have big news for you. You're all YouTube stars because this is being broadcast on YouTube right now. It's also going to be posted on YouTube for posterity, and you can watch it anytime. So some of you may be watching this after the fact, and hi, welcome. Without further ado, I'm actually going to get right into it. We're going to change the format a little bit. Want to get right into it because we have a big, big agenda, and I want to introduce our special guest, Jadine. So you may have heard a little bit about our Dear Everybody campaign, and through No Boundaries, we've confirmed that one of our roles is to advance social justice in service to kids living with disabilities. And we've launched the Dear Everybody campaign. You can check out for more background on the campaign at deareverybody.ca. It's a huge initiative brought to you by the hospital and the foundation that's made it possible. You may have seen some media. You've probably seen it on social media. If you walk outside to our cafeteria, you may see a gigantic display that has some of the content there. And one of the ambassadors of Dear Everybody is Jadine, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here because there's actually been a lot of requests to get in contact with you, to speak to you, and so I'm really excited to have this forum where we can bring you to 1,000 plus people and beyond. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we're going to do a little mic check. I think we need a second to check. Do you want to do a little test? 1, 2, 1, 2?
1, 2, 1, 2.
That's awesome. Okay, so Janie, I want to get started and just to get to know you a little bit. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you came to Holland Bloorview?
I am Jadine Baldwin. I have been living with cerebral palsy for 17 years. I am the oldest of 5 children. And my parents were basically insane to have 5 kids. And I tell them that all the time. I'm an inspiring writer, author, and I advocate for youth with disabilities 24/7.
That's fantastic. And so you're the eldest of the insanity.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about your family and, what they mean to you, and also a little bit more about how you came to join Holland Bloorview.
I have 3 brothers and 1 sister, and they're all crazy, but I love them. I have a loving mother and a father, and my family's they mean a lot to me because they've had to stop their lives to bring me here and to watch me get better. And it's hard sometimes when your kids aren't always at home with you. So I admire my mom for her strength and how put together she is all the time and everything she does for us, 'cause I couldn't be here without her or do anything without her, because she's my super mom and I love her.
It sounds like you have an amazing family and an amazing
Yes.
support system, and hopefully they're watching live and they can hear you call them insane, but also how you've expressed the love to them. And so you're here, you're inpatient right now, and you're
Yes.
recovering from a surgery. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I've been an inpatient here since August 8th, but I've been here as an inpatient for 4 times for 4 different surgeries in total, and I don't think it gets any easier being away from home, but what makes it easier is the people here and the way they see potential in me and want me to grow and become the young woman that's gonna change the world one day.
I love it. And we're going to talk about how you've changed the world in a second, but I want to hear about in addition to, I mean, you receive care here, which is awesome, but you've also given back to us. You've volunteered in many ways. Can you tell us a little bit some of the projects that you've been involved in?
I have been involved in Dear Everybody. That's the most recent one. But I've also spoken at many board meetings through the Board of Trustees with Daniel, who's my sidekick.
He needs a nickname then, if he's your
Yeah.
sidekick.
And it's just been really great to have the chance to give back and to do what I love, which is to stand up for people that don't have voices themselves.
So we're going to play a clip now where you've given voice to your
Okay.
experience. So we're going to just play this, and then we'll chat again in a sec.
But physically not so much. But that doesn't make me any less of a person. People discriminate against me in the way that they see my wheelchair and not who I am as a person.
My first concussion was in 2007.
So that's from a media interview that you did, and you've done lots of media to support our efforts to end stigma. And what's striking is that you've decided to tell your story in a very public way. So can you tell me a little bit about the decision to do that and why you've decided to do that?
My main decision to do all this publicly was to have a chance to show people who I really am as a person, and to have a chance to let people know that people with disabilities may be different, but different is good, and it's wonderful, and we are all different, so the fact that people discriminate against me and many others bothers me so much, 'cause you would go up to your able-bodied friend and do that or not talk to them because they broke their leg. Why would you do that to people that have had disabilities and have to deal with that every day? What difference does that make? We're all human beings.
Indeed, and you've been very open about some of the challenges, and I'm curious to hear, now that Dear Everybody's launched and there's lots of public awareness, lots of people are talking about this work and hearing your story, what have you seen now that it's in the public sphere?
I'm starting to hear a lot of positivity, which is what drives me to do what I do and to be a good person. And I feel like if any of the advocacy work that I do touches one person, then I've done my job right. 'Cause it just takes one person to talk to thousands of other people and make them have a different perspective on people like me.
I can tell you, you've definitely touched more than one. It's many, many times more than that. So thank you for that. I want to talk about the future that you project for yourself. So you're in school here as you're going through rehab here at Holland Bloorview. Tell me, and I actually saw one of the events that you helped Holland Bloorview with strategic planning. You created a number of videos. Some of our audience may have seen some of those. And I recall in one of them you spoke about you wanted to be a best-selling author. So can you tell me a little bit about that and what are you on the course to pursue that right now?
Yes. I've wanted to be a best-selling author since I was 10 years old. I've always imagined my books on bookshelves and chapters and Barnes and Noble and basically everywhere. And I have this dream to let people hear my voice through my writing, even if they won't hear me when I speak.
And they say you write what you know about. So what's your kind of the way you write it?
I write by my experiences and the things I see in the world and how the world needs to become better for everyone and how we just keep making it worse and we shouldn't. But that's human nature, we all do it. But the thing is to recognize when you do it and to sit back and say, okay, how am I gonna want to be remembered today?
And I've read, you've done a couple interviews on Bloom, which I read. You've written some poetry that seems to be the creative outlet, and you've spoken before about you want to write a book about poetry, of poems.
I love poetry. I find it very healing to the soul, and I use it as my outlet for everything. And I feel like with poetry, anything is possible because it just has to be one simple phrase that will change someone's view about you and the rest of the world. And I write a lot of one phrase poetry that is, it may be one phrase, but it'll hit a lot of people in so many different ways. And I write a lot just because that's what I was meant to do. I was meant to come and speak to people and change perspectives and make them see disability as a good thing because we are all different and wonderfully made in our own special way, and people with disabilities are capable of doing whatever they want. You just have to believe in them and they have to believe in themselves. And then once you do that, the world will get better.
Amazing. So you're an advocate, you're a writer, you're a poet, you're a student. What's kind of in the next couple of years? You're in grade 12, if I recall correctly?
Yes.
Yes? What's next for you?
I want to finish high school and go to Carleton University because they have a really good English program there, and even though my mom says it's too far away, that isn't gonna stop me. She could come visit and I could come visit her.
So Mom, if you're watching on YouTube, she's going to Carleton, even though it's far away.
Especially because, like, when I become a best-selling author and I make money for her, then I could come visit whenever I want.
So can I make a request that you dedicate a chapter to me or write a poem about me? Is that?
Yeah.
Can I just make that request in a very public way?
Yeah,
Great, thank you. We've committed to that.
I will.
Janie, we're gonna play your song. It's "Fly Away with Me" by Tom Walker, and I think I've listened to the song and it's very profound. You want to say a couple words as we play that tune as we head to our next segment? Anything about the?
I find it to be like profound in a way that it says to you everything that people with disabilities and normal people are thinking. It says that as long as you take us along on your journey, we can be whatever we want to be.
Let's give it up for Jadine, and thank you so much, Jadine, for everything that you're doing, and hope to have you back again sometime. Thank you. Like I said, we have a massive show today, and that was just the beginning. Like it's just the jaw dropping. For the next segment, it's called The View, and we'd like to bring a member of senior management up to talk to us about their perspective on what's happening within the organization. And for this edition of The View, I'm very pleased to bring up Diane Savage. She's the Vice President of Programs and Services. She's a very, come on up, we'll play. How are you?
I'm fine.
Tell me about that music that you picked.
That wasn't my music.
That wasn't? Okay. There we go. So we have minor glitch there on the music
and that's
selection.
about all you need to know about me. But you know what, if Jadine was still here, I would say she is for sure the leader we would hope to all be. And I have no doubt her words and her vision will come to life, and we're going to hear lots from her.
Indeed. Diane, I've got to know you since I've been here about a year and 9 months, and I've got to know you. You're just a fantastic colleague and focused on impact and delivering the best that you can in everything that you do. So I want to hear a little bit about you and your journey to Holland Bloorview, where you came from, what you've seen since you've been here.
Sure. Can I tell you a little bit about these pictures?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we've got
Does
some
that help?
pictures. Yeah.
So, first year university in Detroit, in my room, who knows, do that night probably as opposed to my school schedule. The upper picture was in between university years as a counselor, not looking very happy on the far right, for a program with kids with developmental disabilities. And so my story starts to unfold in terms of all the activities and leadership experiences I had the privilege to have. Picture on the far right was one of the many conferences I had a chance to present at internationally with a colleague from Finland. And the bottom photo is hilarious and important to share because it was from, I think the first year that I was here was accreditation.
There you go.
And
Nice segue, Diane.
one was to bring the outside into Holland Bloorview. And so the gentleman on the right of me was the director of the centralized equipment pool. And it was the first and only time that anybody had ever, up to that point, asked the centralized equipment pool team and him as a leader to be part of the accreditation process. And as you can see, it was a transformational experience for him. So I did my undergraduate work in Detroit and was inspired by a couple of social workers in a co-op placement at a site. And little did I know at that time that that was going to be part of the path that I was on in terms of what social work meant and really being able to learn from people who inspire us, not unlike Jadine and many of us in the room here together. So I began my social work career, worked in clinical programming, both in the community, in acute care rehabilitation, and then went on to progressive leadership roles in acute care at Mount Sinai Hospital. I had the great privilege, really, of being able to have experience in all aspects of the healthcare sector. And hopefully that's, some of the exposure that I was able to bring to my first role at Holland Bloorview. I'd been invited to apply for the Senior Director Participation and Inclusion role here about 7.5 years ago. Awesome. And was the successful candidate in that role and really got my early kind of being steeped in what it meant to be a child, a family, a staff person working in kids rehabilitation together with the participation and inclusion team. And that was the area that I had oversight for in those early years. And then progressed through really trying to put myself out there to learn as much as I could about everybody's world here at Holland Bloorview. So had the opportunity to be an interim senior director in child development and an interim opportunity within the vice president role as well. So really tried to gather as much learning as I could.
I'm sure things have changed a lot over since when you first started. Can you maybe describe what was back then versus now? What's been one of the biggest changes you've seen?
I think more greatness. So over the last few years, some of the things I've really been part of, I hope, and been able to observe is the change in the level of genuine partnership with clients and families. So this place was always recognized for those kinds of unique partnerships, but the level of partnership, co-creation, transparency, deliberation, I think that just has evolved in ways that nobody could have really imagined. I think the integration of research, education, and clinical practice has really grown over these last number of years with the investment in Centers for Leadership and in just hosting different kinds of conversations with each other about how clinical practice informs research and how research informs clinical practice. And I guess I would say lastly, I think the declaration that we're part of today around campaigns like Dear Everybody and the anti-stigma focus, I think that there's a presence in the world of social justice and change that Holland Bloorview has put a stake in the ground in new ways that we're all very proud of. Awesome. And there's lots more. Yeah,
and speaking of lots more, you've actually touched on quite a bit of things that are touched on by the hospital, and I'd actually love to get hear from you about the breadth of the programs that you and your team oversee. There's a lot of collaboration that takes place to make things happen. Yes. Can you tell me about the scope of services that you oversee and the teamwork that's required to make it happen?
Sure. So Program and Services has the great privilege of representing the range of clinical services across the organization, in addition to a number of other really key areas for service delivery. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to actually tell you what they are. Yeah. They include the inpatient rehabilitation program, what's called today participation and inclusion, child development program, pharmacy, client and family integrated care. We have a business operations focus, helping us use our resources and decision-making in the most effective ways possible. Collaborative practice, so oversight for and partnership in evolving the strongest, most impactful clinical services and professional contributions and quality, safety, and performance, which are the underpinnings of all that we do. Hundreds and hundreds of staff are represented in this portfolio, casual, part-time, full-time, located both at Holland Bloorview and in the community. So our reach is very, very broad, and it requires tremendous collaboration and communication.
Teamwork is essential to anything that we're doing here, and especially in times when we know that the system in general is in pressure, and also we know that here at the inpatient unit, there is pressure in terms of occupancy. Can you speak a little bit about what's happening there and how the team is collaborating to adjust to that?
So in your role, you get to talk to a lot of people, so you may be aware that there's lots of system pressures today and demand for acute care services, both in the adult sector and in the pediatric sector. So in the news, there's lots of conversation around something like 30% increased demand for services for a range of reasons. Uniquely for pediatrics, what we're trying to understand and uncover seems to be two things. One, the increased complexity of the needs of children. We know more, we're able to do more, and children are living long into adulthood, thank goodness, and lots of need for increased services. But the other thing that's changing, it seems, is that community hospitals that we tried to build capacity in to be able to serve kids with pediatric complex needs, some of them are shifting away from that work because of the requirement of specialization, the cost for service, and so hospitals like Hospital for Sick Kids are experiencing an increased demand. What that means is Holland Bloorview, as a service to kids, families, and the system, is experiencing 20 to 30% increase in demand for our inpatient services, and our teams, together with our partners here, are doing a phenomenal job, and actually I'd like to have you ask for an applause for the work that the teams are doing. So what everybody's experiencing is, we're funded for about 62 beds. We're working at about 68. That means that many of the same staff that are here with very specialized skills are delivering services to more kids over more time. We've invited, with intention, new populations to come to benefit from the services Holland Bloorview, requiring different kinds of services, decision-making, and skill building for our team. So all this is happening kind of all at the same time. And it's important to us that our teams know that we're paying attention, we're working very hard to understand both their current needs for support, but also the longer-term picture.
Right. And as the teams are doing that exceptionally well, and as that's happening, we're also have an eye to the future with No Boundaries. So we released the new No Boundaries strategic plan, and I know you recently had a retreat to talk about how the team is focusing and harnessing its work to meet those ends. Can you tell us a little bit about the team's work in relation to No Boundaries?
For sure, and I think, it's important to...
we have our mission and vision values up there, just as background.
To frame that, these conversations have been happening for a long time in the organization. How we got to No Boundaries is because we've been in these conversations, really understanding through our work with kids and families that traditional definitions of rehabilitation are not the whole picture, and they don't serve a whole person in the ways that we now have come to understand are critical. So I think No Boundaries was given voice based on what we've learned, the experiences of all of our staff and kids and families in terms of an overall focus on health and well-being. Mm-hmm. And so it's relatively easy for us in programs and services to be able to bring some of the strat plan focus to life and personalization of pathways through services like solution-focused coaching, which we're going to be hearing a bit more about, looking to advance hours of service and tailor very differently how we're structured to meet people's needs in new ways for the future.
Awesome.
And you'll be hearing more.
For sure. And part of the strat plan is about evolving patient safety. So can you tell me, I want to hear about your thoughts on accreditation, and we know that accreditation is as much about the event that's taking place in October, I think 21 days from now, but it's also been about the journey. So tell me about how accreditation has lifted quality, safety, and care in the hospital.
I think accreditation builds on the excellence that exists in an organization, and with the good fortune that we have here with transparent leadership and the structures that really enable open conversation, we're also able to bring to light some of the areas for improvement that we've identified. Accreditation specifically, I think, it provides provides us with tools and standards that we can continue to strive for and take care to the next level, sometimes in an accelerated way. It allows
Right.
us to focus deeply on the work we're already, working on in process.
Right. And we will hear more about accreditation, but I also want to hear about the role of accreditation in engaging staff, both on-site and off-site, 24, night shift, day shift. Can you speak a bit about that?
Yeah, I think that we've done amazing work, particularly in this cycle of planning. So you saw the early picture from a number of years ago, continuing on in that process where it's now just how we do things.
Right.
And I think there's two components of it. One, we've used the vehicle of accreditation to engage with all of our staff. Our quality team, I think, just did a tracer on the inpatient unit
Yes.
at midnight.
I heard.
There's been a couple of other sessions like that. All of our off-site services have been connected in new ways.
Awesome.
And so it really brings to light the kind of engagement that's essential as one organization, no matter where we're delivering service, whether it's accreditation or not. So we've learned far more than just the process of planning for accreditation.
Fantastic. You have a new staff member, you have a new senior director of ambulatory care, and we have 93 new staff members. You can put that up. So
Wow,
if you are new here, I'd like you to all stand up and bathe in applause from Holland Bloorview. If you're new, you see your name up there. And
Awesome.
I want to say a special hello to Lindsay. Hi, Lindsay. You're our new senior
Lindsay
director of
Crawford?
ambulatory care.
Yes.
Hello. Anything you want to touch on before I let you go? And we'll try to get your song on.
No, I'm very privileged to be part of this conversation. I understand you were the successful program that was able to snare Dr. Golda Milo Manson onto the show. You know she's been in great demand, so I'm very proud to be following in her footsteps.
Well, grateful to have you here, Diane. Thank you so much. Good tune, Dancing in the Streets. That's Martha and the Vandellas. Goal at Holland Bloorview Live is to tell the stories of care and how we provide care in different ways and how we extend our expertise beyond our walls. I'm very pleased to introduce our next guest. She has the title of Life Skills Coach, but we're going to learn that she does much more than that. Please join me in welcoming Sarah Keenan. That's David Bowie. Yes. Were you sad when he passed?
An open mind and an open heart.
Yes.
Yes, so it's just a great song, too.
Sarah, welcome. In the kind of the intro, your title's Life Skills Coach, but I know you do much, much more. Can you maybe tell us about some of the roles that you play and how you got to Holland Bloorview?
Sure. So, yes, I am a life skills coach, and I started working here in 2006, which is still relatively short compared to so many of the folks who've been here for so long. And so as a life skills coach, I primarily work with teens, and I support them with whatever goals are important to them. So it might be increasing their independence, it might be, so that could be using public transit, it could be going to the mall, or it could be connecting more with communities, finding ways to build their own sort of personal communities or circles. So yeah, whatever it is that they want to work on.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had a chance to sit with you during a March break program, and you were teaching kids how to plan a party. So that's
Yes.
an example of some of the things that you do.
Yeah.
You also have a role as a clinical team investigator.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so as a clinical team investigator, I get 1 day a week to do clinical research. And my program of research, it's evolving because there's so much to study.
Yes,
There's so
yes.
much work to do. But it started out primarily, and still is at its core, really about social connection. As we've seen in Dear Everybody and has been part of so many conversations for many years now, we hear more and more from clients and from families that they really they want all of these things, they want all of these therapies, but they also want their child to have friends, to have a community, to belong, and to feel that sense of community. So my program of research is really around looking at what is the evidence for how to support clients and families with making those social connections. Yeah.
So it's about how you can, in a systematic and scientific way, make friends. That's
Sure,
incredible.
yes.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's fantastic. And you're also you're continuing down the path of the many different things you do. Solution-focused coaching, I know, is a big part of some of the work that you're doing. It's rolling out across the organization.
Yes.
Yes.
So that is really exciting. And actually, I'm seeing lots of faces of folks who've done training with me already, which is really nice. So folks may know that Holland Bloorview had a very generous gift to develop the transition strategy. And as part of the transition strategy, we want to prepare clients and families to be ready for all of these different life's transitions. So training everybody in solution-focused coaching, which is a very client-centered, strength-based approach to having conversations. That's one of the ways that we're going to sort of build that capacity. So yeah, over the next year or so, everybody will get training with me, which is very exciting. And it's been very interesting in a lot of the trainings. People are making the connection between solution-focused coaching and particularly the personalized pathways part of No Boundaries. People are seeing that this is a way that we can very much put clients and families at the center of their care, at the center of their experience, and then see what are the ways that we can support them around that.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. And I've had some of the training already myself, and I've been trying it at home, and it's working.
Excellent.
So
Great.
it's very good.
Excellent.
My 6-year-old son really appreciates the
Fantastic.
different approach. Yeah. Accreditation.
Yeah.
So you're a wily veteran of accreditation. This will be your fourth, if I have that
Yes.
correct.
Yeah.
So tell me about accreditation, your role in it, and what people can expect.
Sure. So I think I've been involved. I'm looking at CJ because I think I was brought into all the accreditation teams right from the beginning. I think actually the first year I started, if that was an accreditation year, I was like, oh, accreditation, that sounds interesting. I'll do that. And everybody kind of was like, she doesn't know what she's volunteering for. It has changed. I remember the early accreditations were very sort of paper based, and now it's much more about, well, there's also the paper, but also it's really about sort of conversations. So I remember at the last accreditation 4 years ago, preparing for the tracers.
Yeah.
And I remember that there was some nervousness around being prepared. There was a bit of a feeling of, we're being tested, we're being interrogated. Nobody wanted to mess up. Nobody wanted to be that one person who gave the wrong answer and we failed. And in fact, the way it actually played out was the Tracer, is that what they're called? The Tracer. They came into our office.
Oh, the accreditors?
Yeah, the accreditor.
Yeah.
She came into our office, very friendly. She introduced herself. We all kind of sat around the office very casually, and we just had a conversation. She had curiosity more than anything else. No one was taken into a separate room with the light.
That would be awesome.
Make sure everybody's
do that.
stories match. It was nothing.
Can I
like
ask
that.
for that version? Because that actually sounds cool.
And we just really had a conversation. So, and not every single individual had to know everything.
Yeah.
The team, yes, was expected to know, our business and what we do, and we do. But if one person could answer a question better than somebody else, then that person would take the question.
So you say what you know and then redirect to where
Absolutely.
the question
It was a
could
team
go.
effort.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are many resources. I've got a couple up here.
Yeah.
This one is appropriately called What You Need to Know for Accreditation 2017. And another is The Story of Us. So these are awesome resources that you can refer to if you want to read more about accreditation. So, Sarah, any words of wisdom then for the teams? This is my first accreditation, so what should I do?
I mean,
Words of wisdom.
do your homework.
Okay.
Everybody do your homework. So do actually read through the bulletins and all the information that's available. It's all on Viewfinder. I really like, too, how the bulletins have questions that they might ask. If you read those and you can answer them, then you're
You're in
good.
good shape,
You're
yeah.
good. Everybody knows their job really, really well.
Right.
Just do your homework and then relax, you'll be fine.
Awesome. I like it. My last question before I let you go, and we'll play some more David Bowie, is you've been here for more than a decade, and I'm sure you have some kind of interesting stories and the many different roles you had. Any kind of anecdotes come to mind that you'd like to share with us?
Ooh. Anecdotes.
Or highlights, I guess.
I guess a highlight, actually, I think right now with the new strategic plan,
Yeah.
that's feeling like a highlight. This is an organization that has always felt very driven by our values. And I think that that's always been true. And the strategic planning process this time was so engaging. And when you see the final product, I really feel like, yes, that's what we all said. That's what we all wanted. And I think it's very ambitious, and I think it's very exciting. And it's not just me. I've had lots of conversations with colleagues. People feel sort of energized by it and really excited to see how we're going to go forward with the new
Awesome.
plan.
Awesome. Sarah, thank you so much for your time and
Thank you.
everything you're doing for us.
All right.
Okay, so we've heard a lot about client and family-centered care and our approach to partnership, and I can say from an anecdote, actually, I was at a wedding about 2 months ago, and I was telling people, oh yeah, I work at Holland Bloorview Kids Rehabilitation Hospital, and they said, oh, you guys do you take family-centered care, so like you take it to another level. And I'm like, this is like totally random stranger, and I didn't have a context for how they would make that connection. They were in healthcare, as it turns out, but our reputation precedes us. So suffice to say, we're recognized in the sector and beyond for that expertise and how we partner with families and clients to bring the highest possible level of care to everything that we do. And the way that happens is by families deciding to spend time with us. So in a world of abundant choice, we have families that are choosing and clients who are choosing to spend their time with us to make us better. And someone to exemplify that is Adrienne Zivrem. Please come on up. That's Sweet Design. You said that's a car dancing song or something?
Request a certain number of songs. This is one of them.
Oh.
They're getting kind of old, I'll tell you,
Okay.
but we like to dance to them. So that's the song we dance to currently. I'm sure
Awesome.
it'll change tomorrow.
Play repetitively until you go
Yes.
insane?
Oh,
Got it.
goodness.
Been there. So you have, speaking of kids, you've got 2 kids,
Yes,
6
I
and
have 2
7.
kids, yes.
And so tell me a little bit about your family and how you became part of the Holland Bloorview family.
Amazing. We are affectionately known with family and friends as the A-Team. I'm Adrienne, my husband is Avi. Our oldest, doing the splits there, is Aaliyah, and our youngest is Amira, and the 6
A-Team.
and 7-year-olds. Yeah.
All on purpose? Was that the
It kind of was.
I like it.
I didn't plan to meet someone whose name started with an A, and then
Good thing your name wasn't Betty or something
I
like that. Then you'd be
know.
like the B team. You'd have to find Bob or something.
I
It'd be
know, yeah.
super strange.
it was
yeah.
good.
So, sorry, I interrupted you. Tell me about how you got
No.
connected to Holland Bloorview.
So Amira has autism. She was diagnosed when she was 2,
Right.
and so I really didn't know much of Bloorview, except I heard they had a really exceptional research department, and that was kind of our first foray into the building, was to come and participate in research. And I quickly realized that there are some amazing minds and some really incredible work being done here. So I wanted to be closer, and I wanted to learn more about it.
Right. And now you are a family leader, and you've had many,
Yes.
many volunteer experiences with us. So tell me
Yeah.
about some of those.
Some of those, they've snowballed, to be really honest. It started quite small. I did some health literacy editing, and then I got asked to be partnered with Sonia Pagura and the quality team to work on the pediatric rehabilitation reporting system. PERS.
PERS,
And it literally took me a year to figure out what all of the acronyms meant
Yeah.
and to figure out how everything worked. But that was my first foray into quality and safety, and I've done most of my work with that amazing team. Go team. And it's been amazing. I've loved it.
And we'll talk a little bit more about your work with the team, but you also were involved with the Ministry of Child and Youth Services for a session here, right?
Yeah, it was really neat. It was interesting when I first heard that the minister was coming. You have questions, is it going to be really political? Is he here just to do a photo op?
Yeah.
But he was such a genuine,
Yeah.
fabulous, just caring dad who really wanted to know more about what an autism diagnosis looked like, what the lived experience was, not only of families but also of care providers. So
Right.
he came with open ears and an open heart, and I was really encouraged. I think it was a really great use of
Yeah.
everyone's time.
Yeah, and I think it's going to help inform policy as time goes on.
Yeah.
So back to some of the volunteering. So you
Yep.
started in health literacy.
Yep.
Now you're super involved in accreditation.
Yeah.
So you're the chair of FLAG. Give me some details about what you're doing right now.
Yeah, so FLAG is the Family Leadership Accreditation Group. So
Yeah.
we're a group of 17 family leaders that includes one youth leader. And we're partnered with our staff members on each of one of the 6 teams. So we started from the very beginning, right, with a self-assessment questionnaire, trying to give a little lived experience to the criteria and making sure that when we said yes and turned that criteria green,
Yeah.
that our families could confirm that really was what was true in real life.
So maybe I'll ask the same question that asked before about what tips would you have, being so deeply involved, what
Yeah.
would you say to staff members who are experiencing accreditation for the first time? What tips would you give them?
Well, you know what? The point of accreditation, and I've learned this just now being associated with Health Standards Organization and Accreditation Canada,
Yeah.
the whole point of all of this is continuous quality improvement. It's not about the report card. It
Yeah.
really is, it's built to try to drive people forward. So it's hard. I mean, you feel that test mentality, that concern to make sure we do it right for the day. But what I'm learning as I'm having more perspective and learning more about the bigger picture is that's really the point of it.
Yeah,
So
the
if
journey.
we keep that in mind,
Yeah.
then I think we're good to go.
Yeah. And you've committed 450 hours.
Yeah.
I saw that stat on a
It's a lot.
presentation. I'm like, what? Are we missing a decimal point there?
What?
450 hours towards accreditation.
Thank you.
And that has led to something very cool.
Yeah.
You are now an accreditor, the first
Yeah.
patient family accreditor in
Yeah.
the history of Accreditation Canada.
Yeah, it's exciting. Thank you.
So just for context, we have 4 accreditors are coming on site. Now Adrian will be going to Nova Scotia, I believe,
Yeah.
to serve that role.
Yeah.
And you're the first coming from the patient side to do that ever.
It's killing me that I'm not going to be here for accreditation, but I will be in Nova Scotia accrediting or helping accredit the Nova Scotia Health Authority. And there is a team of 30 of us, and I am the one family leader surveyor, and we
Awesome.
have all the rest staff surveyors.
Amazing. So maybe a bit of a reflection.
Yeah.
You've come from not knowing too much about Holland Bloorview to
Yeah.
being probably as involved as you possibly could be with
Yeah.
Holland Bloorview.
Maybe. We'll see.
When you think about that kind of an objective way, what does that mean to you and your family, and how does that?
I mean, what I didn't realize when I got here was that everywhere else isn't like this. And this is an amazing place. And what we do here not only affects the families and the community here, but it's affecting it's affecting things system-wide. And when people learn about what we're doing, they often will want to model what we're doing. So what I'm seeing more and more as we're being privileged to be asked to speak in other places is the work that we do here really does change things outside of the walls. So the anti-stigma campaign is a part of it, but everything that we do, even Accreditation Canada, even accreditation itself, it changes what happens outside of these walls, and that's what excites me.
Yeah. The impact and elevation of our work goes well beyond what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Adrian, can you help me pick our Spotlight Award winner?
I would love to.
So that's going to give us, so for those who are new, we have a Spotlight Awards program to recognize students, volunteers, staff for service towards the values that we have. And we do this at every staff meeting to recognize one of those lucky Spotlight Award recipients. And they get a $75 worth of at 10 different restaurants with popcorn and movies and everything. So we have, wow, this is a long list. 475 Spotlight Awards were awarded in the last quarter. So you press the random button. Yeah. Is there?
Oh, generate. Amazing. Okay. And
What number do you got?
139.
139 is Eunice Kang. Congratulations. If you are here, Eunice is not here.
Our
Adrian.
favorite music therapist. Thank
What's
you.
that?
Our favorite music therapist.
Yes,
Plug.
She is awesome.
She's amazing.
Adrian, thank you for coming and thank you for everything you're doing and good luck in Nova Scotia.
Amazing. Thanks for
Thank you.
having me.
Thanks. Okay, so here's my prediction, everybody. Put this into a vault. I'm predicting this. I predict we're going to do awesome at accreditation. We're just going to dominate accreditation. Then following accreditation, we'll be like, oh man, what's next? We'll be in some kind of like word withdrawal where, where's Sonia? Why wasn't she asking me any questions? When's the next tracer? We need something new. So we need something new and we need something ultimate. And here to tell us what that next thing is Laura Hartman. Please come and join us. So Laura, we're gonna first tell me about this song. Tell me about this. This is Edward Home. Is that right? Yes.
Home by
Edward Sharp and
Edward
Magnetic.
Sharp and the Magnetic Zeros.
Tell me about that.
So it's a great song. And Holland Bloorview is our home. Home is wherever I'm with you. So we're all together. We're a family here. We get to come into this place and make a difference every day. And I don't know, I mean, maybe it's not your home. It's my home. But not literally. I do go home at the end of the day.
You don't live under your desk?
There have been questions.
Yes, okay, got it. We're going to talk about Holland Bloorview's Ultimate Experience Auction in a second, but I want to hear about you. So I know you're an occupational therapist. You work at the Bloorview Research Institute. I've seen you at the Youth at Work program. So tell me a little bit about you and your role that you play here.
So I have a number of different roles, but they all sort of fit together. So I'm an occupational therapist on the transition strategy. I'm also a research associate on the transition strategy, looking at transitions to employment. And I'm a postdoctoral fellow through the Bloorview Research Institute.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So tell me about the occupational therapy side of things. I know we've talked about social engagement, and just go into a little bit more detail about the work that you do.
Sure. So as an occupational therapist on our Bridge to Adulthood stream in the transition strategy, and I'm sorry, I don't want to turn too far away from the microphone, but I do acknowledge all the people over here as well. I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
So I'm working on the Bridge to Adulthood stream, and we're reaching out to clients who are 18 to 21 who have transitioned out of our services technically to see what their experience has been like and to offer them just a little bit more contact with us to make sure that their transition's going as well as they need, to make sure that they're supported in ways that they can be, and to use solution-focused coaching methods to help them explore the strengths that they have moving forward.
Right.
Yeah.
And in addition to your role as an OT and researcher working in the Institute, you're also a philanthropy staff champion. So tell me about that role and the group that you work with.
Sure. So I am a staff champion for the foundation here.
Yeah.
And what we try to do is raise funds and awareness, both inside and outside of the hospital. And to me, it was not only an opportunity, but a privilege to be a part of this. So in my role in transitions and in my research in general, I look at citizenship. I look at how people participate in and contribute to the communities that they want to be a part of. And I really think it's important to live that value. So for me, Holland Bloorview is a community that I'm so, again, privileged to be a part of and proud to be a part of. And I want to make sure that as much as I benefit from the work that the foundation does and the work that the whole hospital does, I can also contribute back both my expertise and my time.
And you're together with like-minded individuals who want to advance that end. And with that group, you've come up with a very cool concept. So tell us about the ultimate auction.
Well, I was going to say, some might call it an ultimate concept. So prepare yourselves, people.
All right. I'm on the edge of my seat. All right.
Well prepared. Okay. So Holland Bloorview staff, no question, give 110% every day. with accreditation coming up. Have you heard about this? You seen this? You heard about this? Accreditation?
Accreditation thing?
Great. With it coming up, it's doubled. It's 220%. Like that's a little ridiculous, guys. So once it's done, we want to give staff a way to have a little fun, unwind a little, get back into the Holland Bloorview spirit in a fun way. So what we've come up with is the Ultimate Experience Auction, which is a personal service auction. And what it is that staff can both contribute experiences and bid bid on experiences. So examples of experiences that have been contributed so far are Julia Hennigsberg will be, well, I'll start here. Julia Hennigsberg will be contributing president for a day. So you can bid to be president for a day.
So just let me repeat that. You can bid to become the president of the hospital for a day. I am lining up for that one.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah, it's huge. Huge. Yeah,
Huge.
huge.
You can, Sandra Hawken has given her parking spot for a week.
Awesome.
So different kind of experience, but very good one. I don't know if there are any other examples.
Yes, there's Ben Sebring is giving a tax return. He'll do your taxes for you. And then I am committing a dim sum experience. So all expenses paid, trip to Chinatown. And then I will buy your dim sum, and I'll go through some of the traditions that go along with it while you do certain things. So that's what I'd like to contribute. And I understand you're contributing something.
I am. I'm going to be contributing a body mapping session. So up here is a picture of some body maps. And what it is it's a visual way to map out a journey. And you can choose which journey you want to map out with me. And it can be a person or a team. And you get a 7-foot tall piece of paper. We map it out in a systematic way, and then you get to keep it and show people. So if you want to talk about your journey through Holland Bloorview, your journey through accreditation, or even what it's like to be someone who's helping to facilitate a child's journey through whatever they're going through, or if you want to do something fun like my journey through the Tim Hortons line in the morning, whatever you want to map out, it's a great way to interact. It's a great way to take a new perspective on the way that you live your life. So, I mean, not to upsell it, but.
Yeah, I know. You have a personal platform to really upsell that one, Laura. Nicely done. So how do people get involved? How do you bid? How do you contribute?
Okay, well, you can contribute by connecting with Lindsay Hutchison, which I believe is 6469, the extension.
Yes, 6469.
And you can contribute, and she's back there, and you can contribute an experience. She'll help you work out how to frame it, what exactly you want to contribute. But I know everyone's excited about bidding, so there are 2 ways to bid. On October 20th, you can bid in person, but there are some items that are going to be held specifically for payroll deduction bids.
So people who are contributing every month through payroll, they're the only ones that can bid on that. That item.
Exactly.
Got it.
So if you want to get that set up, I think the information is located behind me.
Yes, Lindsay at the back of the room in 6469. Yeah, Laura, thank you very much for being a staff champion, for everything you're doing in your many other roles. It's been fantastic to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Okay, we're at the end of our show, and in case you haven't heard, there's accreditation. If you have any questions about it, please speak to the team. Thank you all for being here. I want to thank Billing Services for setting up the room. Thank Greg for all the IT. Thank Anastasia. I want to thank all of our guests. Thank you, all of you. Please fill out your surveys. Everybody can fill out a survey. If you put your name on it, you'll be eligible for a draw. Please join the Ultimate Auction, and have a great day.
Stop and stare as